A few quick afterthoughts to my previous two videos. The one from about 2 weeks ago was the Rolling Beatles, a fictional concert by a band with the core members Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards. And the other was also a fictional video, fictional set list for Paul McCartney at Glastonbury. And now that the Glastonbury gig is in the books, and by all accounts it was a great show, I'd like to give some afterthoughts about what I conceived as the dream setup, the dream set list for a die-hard fan like myself. First of all, I was kind of right with what I thought the set list would look like, Paul's set list for Glastonbury. There weren't many surprises. I'm not sure if there were any surprises. Even Bruce Springsteen guest starring, one could foresee that after he did that already on his America tour. Like I said in my video, 4 songs from my set list that I expect Paul would do in his show, and he did exactly those 4 songs. Those 4 songs are Band on the Run, Let It Be, Live and Let Die, and Hey Jude. So those were the only 4 songs that my set list has in common with Paul's. And yeah, but by all accounts it was a great show. I didn't see the complete show yet. I've just seen Band on the Run on YouTube with Dave Grohl, which was decent. It's not like it's as good as the Wings Over America or even 20 or 30 years ago, but was okay. Great performance. So that is an afterthought for the Glastonbury thing. Another afterthought, in my fictional setlist I had lots of guest star appearances like Danny Lane, Sean and Julian Lennon, Ringo Starr of course. In the end we got Dave and Bruce, which again is okay. It's not as sensational as my picks would have been, but also like I said, you have to keep in mind that Paul played for a very casual audience at Glastonbury, and also the TV broadcast by the BBC, so average people who aren't necessarily fans did see this, so I think they wouldn't be excited about someone like Danny Lane or Sean and Julian Lennon as they were about Bruce Springsteen and Dave Grohl. So that's also right decision probably by Paul, for the casual fans at least. But another thing, another special guest, Andrew Dixon. I watched his video. He made a live stream. I didn't find, I have BBC somewhere on my TV, but I didn't find it. It must be very at the back end of the 500 channels I have, so I couldn't really watch the concert on BBC, but I just watched Andrew Dixon's stream, and there was a kind of a running joke that Pete Best would be a guest star and that he would play on Love Me Do. But the strange guy I am, I thought about it seriously. What song would Pete Best play on if he was a special guest? And I think the best pick, Love Me Do would be a good pick, but Cry for a Shadow would be cool. Cry for a Shadow, very obscure early Beatle recording they did on those recording sessions they did with Tony Sheridan in '61 for Polydor. They were discovered by Brian Epstein because of the 7-inch that came out of this recording session, My Bonnie. And Cry for a Shadow is the first Beatle composed song they ever put out on Tony Sheridan's album. I think it was credited Lennon-Harrison. So McCartney isn't even a songwriter, it's the only Lennon-Harrison credited song. But it would be cool to have 2 more special guests, because Pete Best was the drummer of the only recording that exists of that song, so Pete Best would play drums. And Danny Harrison, so to have another offspring. We had the Lennon Boys for Come Together in my previous video, and Danny Harrison could play his father's lead guitar part for Cry for a Shadow. So that would be very, to me, funny and obscure and more like a joke. But that would be also kind of a sensational cameo appearance, I would say. He could have played Cry for a Shadow instead of In Spite of All the Danger. Did he play In Spite of All the Danger? But usually in the past years he always plays In Spite of All the Danger, which I'm not too fond of, him playing that. But on this occasion, instead of In Spite of All the Danger, to play Cry for a Shadow would have been, that would have been cool. And then to the video before that, 2 weeks ago I made the Rolling Beatles video. I also I came across a few songs that I think that I forgot initially. You know, there are two songs where both bands, there are recordings of two songs where both bands played guests down the other band's recording, both from 1960. No, one from '66, one from '67. So you can hear Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, amongst others, sing background vocals on the song Yellow Submarine. So maybe they should have, they had Ringo and Paul. Paul wrote it, Ringo sang the lead vocals, and that Mick and Keith. So on that Rolling Beatles video, they could have played Yellow Submarine instead of some other Ringo song instead of It Don't Come Easy, which doesn't have a connection to the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. So they could have played Yellow Submarine instead of It Don't Come Easy, so with the original background vocals by Mick and Keith. And they could have played We Love You, of course. I forgot We Love You, one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs, one of my favorite Rolling Stones singles. We Love You, written by Jagger Richards, Rolling Stones A-side, big flop, but great song, great experimental psychedelic song. And on the original recording of We Love You, John Lennon and Paul McCartney sing background vocals. So that would have been an obvious choice for that concert, so that Paul McCartney sings his original background vocals on We Love You. They could have played it instead of 2000 Light Years from Home. That's about the same kind of style, I would say. Or instead of She's a Rainbow. That's that era of the Stones. And also I forgot another very obvious one, I Wanna Be Your Man. Maybe the Bruce Springsteen performance at Glastonbury reminded me of that. That it's a song that the Beatles, of course, wrote for the Rolling Stones, so they could have made a version in my fictional Rolling Beatles concert with Mick and Ringo and Paul, sharing lead and background vocals on that song. So that would have been an obvious one. And regarding the Paul McCartney set list, a few songs, I said it at the end of the video, you could have made at least three more set lists with obscure and not big classic hit songs. That would have also been great set lists. So a few songs that I forgot, or not forgot, but songs that could also be in a die-hard fan Paul McCartney kind of concert, would have been songs like Girls, School, Daytime, Nighttime, Suffering, great B-side, almost an A-side, or they could play the A-side to the B-side, which was Good Night Tonight. Or other songs he could have played in my fictional, not in his, but in my fictional set list. Or maybe also in his Coming Up was a big #1 hit, so that would that's not even an obscure track, that's a US #1 single, so he could have played Coming Up on the show, which is a song he doesn't often play in recent years, but great live number, just watch the 1979 live versions of that song from the Last Wings tour. Big Bun Bad, Lovin' Song, this is a deep cut Lovin' Song, but one of my personal favorites. Magneto Entertainer Man would have been great, Soily, Beware My Love, so there would have been lots of possibilities. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching.